used to cost about $1 from someone from the UK to upload a selfie to Instagram in Berlin. But millions of EU citizens travelling within the bloc are now able to roam, like at home, with no extra charges.
I think it's excellent. I've been in Europe for 2 weeks, spending £3 a day to be able to use my phone.
The new rules ends a decades-long battle between mobile phone networks and Brussels. They affect at least 28 mainland European countries, including spots popular with tourists like Italy, Spain and France. The rules cap the money telecoms companies charge each other when their customers use their phones abroad. But there's a catch. If the changes knock more than 3% off an operator's bottom line, they'll be allowed to charge roaming fees. But first, they'll have to get permission from their national regulators.
Sure that there aren't countries to exploit it. For example, traveling to one country and using a cheaper tariff somewhere else.
A trade group estimates telecoms companies will lose about $8 billion in revenues by 2020. Europe's largest telecoms companies, Orange and Vodafone, are complying with the changes. But dozens of smaller ones in the Baltic and Nordic regions already offer their customers cheaper unlimited internet contracts and have applied to be exempt. And then there's Brexit. No one really knows what effect it will have. But as policymakers and companies hash it out, it surfs up for tourists on the Europe wide web. Adefemi Akinsanya, TRT World.
Now, Johannes Kleis is the Director of Communications at BEUC, the European Consumer Organisation, and he joins me now from Brussels. Johannes, thanks so much for being with us on Money Talks. Quite a nice deal for consumers wanting to travel around Europe. How difficult was this to reach?
Well, indeed, this is very good news for European consumers. So they will be able to use their phone much cheaper as they used to do in the past. And it was a difficult battle. It took a long time. Our organization and our member organizations, which are national consumer groups across the European Union, they have raised awareness about this issue about high bill shocks since many years, since more than 10 years actually. And now it has been on the agenda since a couple of years in the European institutions. Roaming prices have decreased gradually over time. And now the battle is over and the result is there, and it is a good result.
But is the battle really over? Surely the telecoms companies aren't going to take this lying down. What response do you think they're going to make to this?
Well, the rules are quite clear, which are that as of today, consumers will be able to use their phone at the same conditions abroad as if they were at home. And when it comes to telecom companies, I mean, the first thing is that over the last couple of years, they've also cashed in at the expense of consumers because roaming prices were unjustifiably high. And another point is that this deal has been in the making since many years. So phone companies also had time enough to adapt to the new situation. And thirdly, the deal is also fair to businesses because it contains a number of exceptions to guarantee fair use by consumers. For instance, if a consumer for a period of more than 4 months would use his mobile phone more often abroad than at home, in these situations, companies would still be able to apply some small charges. So from our point of view, this is clear that businesses talking now about this being difficult for their business practice, this is cheap talk.
Let's talk about that fair use element a little bit more. Are companies going to be able to use a little bit of wiggle room in defining precisely what fair use is?
Well, it is not precisely wiggle room. There are some exceptions tied to this roaming deal. And they're precisely there to protect companies, especially those who have already cheap tariffs, especially phone companies in the Nordic states, in the Baltics. And the exceptions are there just precisely for that reason, so that the cheap tariffs in those countries can be preserved and that there are no reasons for phone companies to raise domestic prices.
Let's talk a little bit about Brexit and how Brexit might affect this. So if you're a consumer in the UK and you're travelling now during the negotiation process, the Article 50 process, everything applies, all these rules apply. What happens after Brexit?
Well, many people would like to know, of course, what will happen after Brexit, and the same is true here in this situation. It is very hard to tell what will happen. Right now, there are no changes. European consumers, EU consumers, continental European consumers traveling to UK will benefit from these rules. UK consumers traveling to continental Europe will benefit from these rules. There are 1.5 to 2 years of negotiations ahead now. And during this period, nothing will change for EU and UK consumers. After that, yes, there is a big question mark about what will happen to many EU rules, including roaming-free phone calls.
Johannes Kleis of BEUC, the European Consumer Organisation in Brussels, thank you so much for joining us.